So I've called this video My Story, Approach and Perspective. So it's kind of all-encompassing really, and it's probably one of the most important videos there is because it's the foundation of everything. It's the start, and it kind of explores and gives you an insight into where this started and how I feel. So I suspect it's going to be a good 20 to 30 minutes long, and I'm going to try and fly through it as much as possible. So all I know is love. All I know how to do and is love. All I know is how to be love. And that all sounds quite kind of deep and meaningful, which I guess it is. But my feeling is that it's all you know. Underneath all the kind of busyness we bring our lives, it's not something I think we learn, it's not something I think it's not even something I think we need to think about. We don't need to think about it to kind of stir it up and to know what that means. We just know what it means, we know it. And I know, perhaps I've known that, and we've all known that since our first kind of taste of consciousness in many ways, whether that was in the womb, or whether that was earlier, or whether there was no start. I mean, who knows? But it's all I've ever known. And what's important there is all my kind of abundant and fruitful relationships are based on unconditional love. So what I mean by that is kind of without preference or judgment. And that goes for things, thoughts, feelings, people, the planet, situations, whatever that may be. They are all relationships with something, and that something is quite different. That something might be a person, that something might be a thought, that something might be a feeling, it might be an illness. It's still a relationship. And I just honestly don't see why cancer is any different. It's a thing, and you have a relationship with it. And everyone has a different relationship with it. And mine is one of unconditional love. In the sense that this is kind of meant to be. This is a message for me and for others. This is a gift and opportunity to explore that. And that is love mode. And that is a very instinctive response for me. And if the other response is fear mode, you either look at that door and walk through it, or you run away from it. And it's kind of fight or flight really. Well, there's fight or flight, and then there's love mode. So standing in front of that door with a smile and with pure happiness and joy, and kind of walking through it and seeing what it brings is a wonderful, wonderful thing that I would encourage to anybody. Yet, the prevailing thing to do is to kind of run away from that as fast as you can in fear mode, which that's never been helpful to me. I don't know what your experience is, but it's certainly been never helpful to me. So over the last 10 years, I've been going kind of in for insight and wisdom, not out, externally, in. And that's been magic. And I'm not sure that there's any kind of end to that rabbit hole. I don't know, that's a deep rabbit hole that kind of never ends. When I say in, I mean in for peace, for answers, for acceptance, for stillness, for confirmation, for contentment, for navigational tools for life. And I'm really pleased that I woke up to that probably 10 years ago now, that you just cannot get that externally. Nothing that you can buy, nothing that you can buy or get or have can give you that. You can only do it from within. Everything you need, you already have. Everything I need, I already have. So I've had a few kind of awakenings in my past, and some have been quite profound, but this one has certainly been the most profound, without question. And those that know me well will know that when that consultant stood in front of me and said, Mr. Adams, we think that you're going through a cancer process and you have pancreatic cancer, those that know me well will know that I heard something else. And everything you hear in all these videos and these sharings that I'm doing is sharing what that something else is. So I hope more than anything that you enjoy and engage, and this thing just only flourishes. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mark. I am currently 37 years old. I live in Poole in Dorset with my wonderful wife and daughter and family. My hope is that nothing that I say in these videos comes across as preaching, in that sense, that I'm simply trying to share a perspective that I'm quite passionate about, that's quite personal to me. But it relates to everyone. And most importantly, I hope that it can help other people, inspire other people that perhaps are in kind of a challenge in their lives and so on. I feel that this kind of perspective and approach that I have is one that seems to be quite refreshing and quite kind of, it's not quite the norm. So I'm hoping to share it. So I've made some notes for this particular part of this video because there's lots I want to say. Lots of important stuff I want to say that I don't want to miss. And it's from the heart. And if I didn't have the notes, I could get more eye contact, but I feel like I'm going to get enough. So this approach that I've had is very kind of natural and real to me. It's simply one I want to share and engage with people. And although like most people who experience what I'm experiencing, I'm becoming a bit of an expert in some of the things, and they're things that I can share. But I'm no doctor. I'm no qualified nutritionist or naturopath or anything like that. So I just want to share my knowledge. So don't believe a word I say. In fact, don't believe a word anyone says. Everyone has their own kind of navigational system, which is called your intuition, your gut feeling. So listen to what I say and see how you feel and whether you think it makes sense to you. And that goes the same as far as I'm concerned with anything anyone ever says. And like I said, don't instantly say, do what I say. You know, that if I'm suggesting something, check it out for yourself. We live in a wonderful world where we have the internet and other people to kind of talk with about it. So see how it feels for you. And I'm also a bit of a kind of hippie when it comes to life and to health. So my predominant kind of, I'm very much attracted to the natural world and to complementary medicine, whatever people want to call that, natural healing and medicine. However, I do think the NHS has its place. It has some wonderful things that it does, but my perspective is that it does go too far. It could be embracing this kind of wonderful world of complementary medicine a lot more, and I think they are starting to, which they're calling integrative medicine. So this all started for me around Sunday the 28th of March when I started to get chest pain and brown urine. And I phoned 111 and went to a pharmacy, and they told me I had heartburn. And then I thought I took heartburn tablets and didn't work, so I went into a casualty. And anyway, done some tests, and I sent away with a pulled chest muscle and dehydration because of the brown urine. And then on the Thursday after that, I started to turn yellow. I started to get jaundice. I started to turn minion coloured, and my wonderful daughter told me. And I went back to casualty. I instantly got a bed. They thought it was my gallbladder. They did some tests. They did an ultrasound. They found no stones. Everything else in my body was fantastic. My liver, my heart, my bloods, everything about it was really, really good. Except that they saw in the ultrasound this kind of shadow on my pancreas. So on the Monday evening, so this was the Sunday, I was told by a consultant that I was going through a cancerous process. That's what they suspected based on the ultrasound. And I absolutely crapped myself for about 10 minutes. Really crapped myself. And I realised that this is based on my kind of automatic response of my subconscious mind, which has a lot of kind of previous experience and history associated with it. And then I told my wife, and it was quite an emotional but amazing conversation, quite a relaxing conversation. And just this kind of utter wave of calm and peace came over me. And I felt like I was getting touch with my kind of true self, really. And that gave me a lot of strength and wisdom. And there was this kind of nowness around everything. So I wasn't too concerned about history in the future. I was just concerned around now. And that felt quite peaceful and magical. And I think particularly when you're in this situation, you hear a lot about, they give you a lot of historical facts and statistics based on stuff, and then you think about the future too much, both of which aren't real, both of which are completely irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. You can only live your life in the moment. You can learn from the past, but don't live in the past. You can plan and look forward to the future to a certain extent, but that's not, again, in my mind, we spend too much time doing that. So I started to trust that, and I started to go kind of deeper into that, really. And I also felt like I'd been told nothing different. I genuinely, when I thought about it, I thought all that man has said to me is, I'm a human being and I'm going to die and I don't know when. And everyone's going to die. It's a natural part of life. You're going to die. You might die before me, I might die before you. It's something that I just thought, well, I just haven't been told anything different. And I went into a ward. I was in the ward at the time that they kind of told me, which is amazing. The nurses were incredible. Their banter, their support, their love was incredible. And I just let them help me, basically, and had the most wonderful time with them. That is what, for me, has always been the core of the NHS, is that kind of nursing foundation of love and care. And my folks were on holiday at the time. I had to tell my mother-in-law and my brother, which is really, really tough. And they did a CT scan and MRI scan, and they confirmed to me that I had pancreatic cancer. And I moved into a private room, and I started to go kind of really deeper into this state of nowness and calmness, this pure feeling of just, I feel really lucky. I feel as if, people might think this is a horrendous thing to say, but I feel as if I've been given everything I wanted to have in my life. Like this was a pure gift and opportunity. I felt there wasn't a cell of fear in my body. And I started to make sense of what was happening, and it was quite surprising. I couldn't, for about a few hours, I couldn't say the words that were happening to me, but I can very confidently now, and I did at the time, which is that I'm actually falling in love with this. I'm falling in love with cancer. I'm falling in love with this experience. And I don't mean cancer as in the tumour, or a swelling as such. I mean the experience, what it brings to you, this kind of gift and opportunity. And this kind of rabbit hole is something that I don't know how deep that goes. I think there's no end. And I got this instant shift in this kind of level of awakeness and awareness, and this frequency of life. And I genuinely felt at the time that I felt it was a paradox. I felt healed already. I was already healed. I know what that means. It's really hard for me to put that into words. I still am on this kind of path of loving, nurturing my body, which is slightly different, but I already felt healed. And I started to see similarities between how I kind of addressed a difficult time in my life when I had anxiety and probably depression, I don't know. I went to the doctors, they tried to give me tablets, I wasn't interested. I felt two things when I suffered from anxiety from around the age of 23 to 26. Two things. Number one, I wanted it to go now. And number two, I didn't want anyone to know that I had it. I felt like a fool and I felt weak. And two things really changed that experience for me. Number one was that I started to think, I'm working with something I don't have here. I'm trying to get something I don't have. I'm trying to get inner peace and calm and non-anxiety when I don't have that. So it's impossible to work with that. Why don't I work with what I've got and embrace what I have, which is anxiety? And that started to change. And I tried to put into words and contextualise how I felt, and I felt like I was stuck in a lift with someone I didn't want to be stuck in a lift with. And I suddenly thought to myself, well look, I can't change this. You know, no one can change cancer or illness as such. Addressing it from that approach, in my mind, just doesn't work. But you can change it on a relational level. So I suddenly thought, well, I'm stuck in a lift with someone I don't want to be stuck in a lift with. I don't like this person, they're annoying me, I'm scared of them. And more than anything, I want them to go away. But how would it feel if I was perfectly cool with the fact I was stuck in a lift with someone I wanted to be stuck in a lift with? How would that feel? And I'm 37 now, I can't remember the last time I felt that way. just from approaching it in that sense and delving into yoga, meditation, I've taken zero medication or anything for that, and that was a really dark time for me, and something that loads and loads of people have. So yeah, all amazing relationships that I've ever had, all fruitful and abundant relationships, are based on unconditional love. And that's how I felt. I genuinely feel that cancer is no different. It's just a relationship. I can't change the fact that it's with me, but I can change my relationship to it. And that insight started for me when I started to, based on the anxiety that I had when I was 23, and I started to do meditation and yoga. And you know, when you meditate, you simply just watch your thoughts and your feelings. So they come and they go. Most of us kind of get a feeling and we keep it. This is really nice. We push it away. And the ones that we push away tend to get bigger. They knock on the door louder. And they have different colours and so on. Whereas if you just kind of watch them and flow with them, then it creates this wonderful space where magic happens. This minor space between yourself, this kind of witness in life, and the thoughts and the feelings. And what you also realise is that nothing that you can buy or get fills this kind of void. You know, I spent a lot of my life, and I see a lot of people still doing this. You know, the whole, you know, it's predominant in the West and the UK and the US, is that we have this feeling of mild discontentment, this void in our lives that we want to fill with a new house, a bigger house, a car, anything, just stuff. And then when we get it, we get this kind of 2-minute taste of amazingness, and then suddenly there's this other void, and I need something else to make me happy. And actually that just doesn't work. And you know, life is flux, life is void. And I have a wonderful new friend that said to me, everyone is looking for the extraordinary. Why don't we look around and realise that actually things are extraordinary already? And that's a beautiful and powerful thing. And there's an unhelpful view with illness and so on, which is that you should fight it, and it's a battle and it's a war. And I talked about this with that kind of language of love video, so check that out. So my approach is the emerging science, which is that your mind can help your body. Your mind is and your thoughts are your physiology. Your mind is mini prayers that your cells hear. Your body and your cells love you, and they want to help you. You've just got to kind of instruct them in the right way. And there's this wonderful book here by David Hamilton, who's, if you want to check out what I'm saying, written by someone who's got a PhD, then that's the book that I'd recommend. So yeah, the only way that I'm treating this is as a gift and as an opportunity, and I just don't see why cancer is any different. You know, and an opportunity without preference. So even death is something that I think gets a bad name for itself, particularly in the West. You go elsewhere in the East and they celebrate it. You know, I know that we celebrate it in some circumstances, but generally it's a scary thing that we try to avoid, but actually it's just everyday part of life. I mean, being scared of death and not talking about it is like being scared of and not talking about breathing. It's like not talking about going for a wee, going to the toilet. It's all inevitable, but yet we kind of run away from it and block it out, and therefore it becomes this kind of really horrendous thing when actually it isn't. It's just a fact of life. It needs to be embraced and loved. And yeah, I think that the tendency with all these kind of things, whether it's illness and anxiety and situations and challenges and mild things in life, is to kind of run away from them, is to look at them and generally not want them and reject them and run away from them, to look at that door and just run in the opposite direction. When actually, if you do just walk through that door, if you accept and acknowledge that door and walk through it, then there's magic the other side. That's certainly what's happened for me. I don't know what your experience is. And like I said, I feel like I now have everything I've ever wanted in my entire life. And for me, that is a spiritual thing, whatever that word means to anybody. What I mean by that is that I have my mind, I have my body, you have your mind and your body, But there's another thing. It's this connectedness. This, people call it spirituality. It's a connectedness, and that's what's become most profound for me. And I'm not your typical everyday spiritual person, I guess. I don't know. I'm not religious. I have nothing against religion whatsoever. I think on the whole they're beautiful things, but I do have a problem if they harm people. But I don't have a set category for that. And religions all point to the same thing, as far as I'm concerned. If you boil them all down, they point to unconditional love. And they point to the nowness of life, the nowness that history and the future is a whole lot of nonsense. And we spend too much time living in it, and this nowness is really important. But like I said, I've always been this spiritual person, and I genuinely feel like suddenly I have permission to come out as a spiritual person. I don't care, and I'm not hiding it anymore. I want to shout it from the rooftops. And like I said, I'm not this typical spiritual guy to a certain extent. I live in a place called Parkstone. It's quite small and normal. I grew up on binge drinking. I have a very dark and wrong sense of humour. My mum would be ashamed of me. I did drugs when I was younger. Sorry, Mum. I did drugs when I was younger. I've been sick on myself. I've broken my foot dancing badly at a dance floor in a wedding. Until now I've kind of hidden that side of me, and now I just don't care. Now I'm not hiding it. And this is what's quite profound, is that actually I think this is the gift and the opportunity that all these things give you, is they give you an opportunity to fall in love with yourself. And not many of us are very good at that. And that sounds awful in some sense, that somehow I mean, aren't I great, look at my lovely things. I don't mean that. I mean me, who I am. And I have this deep, unconditional acceptance and love for myself that I kind of did before, but not like this. And when I say falling in love with cancer, I mean two things. I mean the experience of it, which has been wonderful, and I mean myself. My star sign's Cancer. So I've had that word many times, and it doesn't have the same kind of sense of fear around it than perhaps it does for other people. So that's what I mean. And the other interesting thing that's quite symbolic for me is the pancreas is a hidden organ. It's probably one of those hidden organs that you can have in your life, in your body. And that to me is quite significant of the way that I felt around my true kind of self, really. And I just feel really excited. I feel lucky, loved and happy, and I feel excited that I'm going to go deeper into this wonderful world of health and life. And I feel this wonderful deep connection that I had before, but not on this level. Not on this level. This is everything I've ever wanted, with life, with the people I love, my friends, my family, my wife, just a completely different level that I didn't even know existed. And that's all I've ever wanted. I think that's all anyone ever wants, to a certain extent. I might be wrong. The real turning point for me was when I was sat in this private room, and this was quite profound because I feel like I've got this new perspective, and I'll illustrate what I mean by that. I'll just spin my laptop round and come around. I had this photo on my wall. Let me try and spin it round actually. I'll take the camera to it. I had this photo on my wall in my ward, and I was kind of looking at it thinking, this is a wonderful photo of nature, but there's something missing. There's something in this photo that isn't there, but it is there. And I just loved the photo, so I thought I'd take a photo of it, and I took a photo of it on my iPhone. And this one came up. And as you can see, my flash suddenly appeared in the right place as far as I'm concerned. And what I realised wasn't in the photo, was the sun. It was in the photo anyway, because it was the blue sky and the clouds, and the sun was in the hay bales as it is in apples. And I realised that this is a new beginning for me. This is a new day. the sun is behind the trees because this is a new experience for me, and it's going to be slightly hard in the first few weeks to look at that sun directly. And the sun, prior to seeing this photo, I felt that the sun was in me. It wasn't in the photo because it was in me. You could call that jaundice. I felt yellow, and that jaundice was a wonderful thing for me because I went to hospital very quickly and was very lucky that one of the wonderful things the NHS does is diagnose. And I was very lucky that they diagnosed. And the second that I realised that, I almost felt my body just relax on a level that I've never known before. And I just felt my jaundice starting to go, and the swelling started to relax as well. And the other significant thing for me here is two things, is that these bales of hay for me represented people in my life. Bundles of sunshine that are there to support me, and this field, you can see that it has no beginning or end. I mean, God knows how big this field is, but there are lots and lots of other wonderful people that I'm going to meet that I can't see yet. And the real key thing about this, the real big thing that really put me on a different level, is that this is the same photo. It's the same photo, except I'm looking at it from a different perspective. Illness, cancer, challenges are the same thing, but if you look at a different perspective, you see a different thing. My perspective was based on my iPhone, and with this particular photo, and my new perspective, it's just a perspective, looking at the same thing and you see different things. So that was quite meaningful to me. That's something I really wanted to share with you, because since that moment, since that very moment, magic started to happen. I started to relax, and I feel like my swelling started to reduce. So I'll just spin this back round so that I can sit back down. So yeah, after sharing that photo, I just felt like I was kind of taken to a new level, really. And on that Thursday, so this was the kind of Tuesday or so, I had to tell my mum and dad, who flew back, and I had to tell my friends, which was both wonderful and horrendous. The consultant was an absolute angel, who sat with my folks and told them from his perspective what he felt, which is a really tricky thing to do. I couldn't have done that, and I'm very grateful that he was there. And then it was my turn. I just felt this complete sense of calm, telling my folks how I felt, and I knew exactly what I needed to say, and everything was falling into place. And I just told them I felt happy, loved and lucky, and I still feel that way now. And I went to another ward, which is just as amazing people. I had a stent fitted to release the jaundice where the swelling was. And like I said, prior to that, 3 days prior to that, I just felt like my swelling was going. People were telling me my jaundice was going. Everyone was telling me that. And I just felt that I was relaxing and healing. The second that I saw that photo, that was big time for me. So I was in research mode after that. I started looking at options when I got home, and I genuinely have never worked so hard in my life. And I've always felt that anything is never one-dimensional. Anything is never one-dimensional, particularly the experience of something physical or some kind of health or well-being issue. For me, this goes for cancer as well, or anything that, any kind of challenge from a health level, is there's something physical that needs addressing, there's something emotional, there's something spiritual. So what I mean by that is something deeper or hidden or non-tangible, something that you're holding on to that isn't mental, it isn't physical, it's something else. It's nutritional and it's environmental. So that links in with the nutritional, is that I mean two things. I mean, in me, the environment of my body is that things generally go wrong when they are not kind of balanced or perfect, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm exploring that whole nutritional thing. So that's in, and I mean out there. I mean the people you surround yourself with are really important, and the environment that you live in, the amount of fresh air you get and sunshine is really important. So it's never kind of one-dimensional for me at all, and it can be relational and ancestral as well. I'm not sure that is my case necessarily, but it can be. So I went to see a surgeon who was talking to me about my options with that, really. That was quite interesting. I went along and my options were there, the NHS are there if I liked them, and I started, like I said, that's quite one-dimensional. That ticks the physical box, potentially. Kind of does, but it doesn't. But it ticks the physical box, and I've just described 7 or 8 other things that in my mind need addressing and need exploring. And I looked at kind of this nutritional base, so I looked at things like Gerson, and rather than this kind of random approach, eclectic approach, I felt like I needed something solid in that sense. So I looked at Gerson and Budwig. I started to get lots of emails from friends and families and kind of amazing people and conversations that I was having. And I have an incredible naturopath that has done just the most wonderful things for myself and my family. I love him very, very much, and he's guided me and coached me and allowed me to make decisions without really telling me in the slightest what I need to do. And he just shows you doors, and you go and opens doors and paths and so on. And it's been just absolutely magic, absolutely magic. And like I said, the most profound thing is when I got back after about a week or so, I just felt like I still had this momentum, this inertia, this searching for something. I was still searching. And actually I just relaxed back and said, what am I searching for? I know what I need to do. Stop searching. And actually in many ways, when you get in that kind of program, you're stuck in that program of life, of the future and the past, which you can step out of. That's when you step away from searching. Because there is no future and there is no past. It's something that's completely fictional. It's not reality. The second that you search, it's almost as if when you deeply feel as if you have cancer and you've got to do something about it, that's very much a future thing, that you've got to heal cancer in the future. And to me, based on particular, again, I'm not kind of putting words in David Houghton's book, but for me that would suggest that your cells would need to create the cancer for you to heal it in the future. Your cells would listen to you and then create it so that you can heal it in the future. Whereas if you live in the present moment and you feel as if you're healing and you do visualizations and affirmations, which is something I think is really important, that actually your cells listen to you. So that's what I mean by, I hope I've explained that the right way, but I'm just not searching anymore. Everything I need, I already have. So I decided to come to Budwig, which is this amazing kind of place in Spain that has this nutritional, and so they help in many ways with your immune system, viruses, historical issues with health and your body, nutrition, so on. Check out the day videos by Olivia, you'll learn a lot more about that. But I just feel that I've really, this is all I'm doing, is I'm loving, nurturing and thanking my body for the last 37 years and making sure that that environment is balanced and loved and nurtured. Simple as that. And these are amazing people here. Amazing people. They have amazing perspective over health. And they are my kind of people. They relate to this kind of emerging science of well-being and medicine, which is based on energy and physics. And I needed this kind of baseline protocol and this theme that's called Budwig, because you get so much information around stuff if you search. And I just felt like if I had that, you can relax, and if someone fires something your way that you're interested in, then you can relate it to that and see if it kind of works really. And these guys are angels, again, you know, they're a team of angels that they're just such common sense when you listen to them, and they're fun, and it's not a problem. They don't feel sorry for you, they don't give you sympathy. It's not a sad place to go. It's a lot of fun, there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of common sense, and they just want to love and help you. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. So check out the day videos where I go more into that. And I've got another video that I've called Helping Me to Help Others, which is around this idea that right now I'm inviting people to help me financially so that I can heal and relax and regenerate and then help others as well. So there's another video and a means of kind of fundraising, and I'll invite you to do that. It'd be wonderful for you to support me, and I would value that very much. So please keep watching these videos, and my Facebook channel and social accounts and website and so on when it comes. And just keep connecting with me, and please share my videos and my thoughts and feelings. I want this to go as far, as wide and as possible. And thank you for being part of it. Thank you for being part of it.